If you remember the other day, we talked about the Order Domain Cleric and how it's all about following the laws. Well, the Trickery Domain is the opposite. Hey fellow Game Masters, I'm Richard Quiner and welcome back to the RPG Daily, your daily dose of all things tabletop role-playing games, helping you build your world and master your game. And today we're talking about the Trickery Domain, which is all about causing mischief and stirring up some trouble, so let me know in the comments below what you think of this domain so I can compare it to all the others a little later on. So what is the Trickery Domain? Well, like I said, it's all about causing some mischief and creating some trouble and not following the laws. It's commonly the domain of thieves and gamblers. You could also consider it kind of a luck domain if you wanted to, though I think I want to make that a divine domain myself. The clerics of this divine domain are often disruptive to actual law, in the name of justice. Think of like Robin Hood, who's robbing from the rich to give to the poor. He is being just, but he's doing it in kind of a roguish manner. And you could also consider the clerics of this type the roguish clerics, so to speak, though their stealth might not be as good as a regular rogue. Some well-known deities for this domain are Timora, and of course, the Traveler from Jester in Critical Role and her belief system. So how does the Trickery Divine Domain actually work? As the Trickery Cleric levels up like all other clerics, they're getting some special spells that is only for them. At level 1, they're getting Charm Person and Disguise Self. We've talked about Charm Person before, I think. If not, you can look it up. But Disguise Self is a real quick way to look like somebody else and trick them. What you do is, when you cast the Disguise Self spell, you're actually creating an illusion facade around you. It looks different, but it doesn't feel different. So, it is an image, and if someone touches it, they will know that it's an illusion pretty much right away. You can change your body type and appearance a little bit. You can be a little taller, a little shorter, a little fatter, a little thinner, that kind of thing. You cannot, however, change your body type to have 6 arms or 14 legs. You can't do stuff like that. You still have to stay within a basic humanoid shape, or the shape of your character. At level 3, you get Mirror Image and Pass Without Trace. Neither of these are cleric spells, as tends to be a thing. Mirror Image is a really cool, tricky spell that makes you a lot harder to pin down. Essentially, when you're in combat, you cast the spell, it creates 3 mirror images of you in the same space that all move and act like you. This makes it impossible for your enemies to tell who you are. So when an enemy decides they're going to attack you, you can roll a d20. Depending on the roll of the dice, it determines if you are successfully able to make that enemy attack one of your mirror images, or they just attack you. If they do attack the mirror image and they actually hit the mirror image, it is destroyed and you're down to 2, for example. And the spell ends when all 3 of your mirror images have been destroyed. At level 5, you get the spells Blink and Dispel Magic. Blink is not a normal cleric spell, but it is really interesting and gives you a neat way to move around quickly and get out of the way of damage between your turns. How this works is you cast Blink, and then on each of your turns you'll roll a d20. With an 11 or higher, it will send you to the ethereal plane, another plane of existence. You'll still be able to see the plane you were at, the material plane. You'll be able to see everything going on, but they won't be able to see you. And then at the start of the next turn, you'll return to the material plane to a spot within 10 feet of where you disappeared from. This spell is not super powerful, but it's enough to get confusing and to make you help you avoid some attacks, that kind of thing. So I think it's great for this kind of domain. At level 7, you get the spells Dimension Door and Polymorph. Again, neither of these are cleric spells, but Polymorph essentially lets you turn one creature into another. The spell lasts for 1 hour, and while they've been turned into a creature, they have the hit points and attributes of that creature. The spell will end, though, if the creature that they've been turned into drops down to 0 hit points. They will revert back to the target creature type with the hit points they had when they were polymorphed. Otherwise, the spell lasts for an hour, and that's great. In one of the games we actually used this, someone was able to turn a phoenix into a snail somehow, and then we of course didn't want to hit the snail, so we tried to rest up and get ready to fight the phoenix again. And then we won. At level 9, you're going to get Dominate Person and Modify Memory. Again, neither of these are cleric spells, but Modify Memory is pretty messed up. It allows you to alter a person's memory of an event within the last 24 hours of their life. You could remove the event entirely from their memory, you can change details about the event, you can add a whole new event in there. This kind of thing can really mess with someone, and it's very tricksy, so I think that's perfect for this. And I think it could come in handy in like interrogation situations. If you're interrogating someone and you don't want them to remember that they've been interrogated, you just modify your memory and suddenly they've been sunbathing for 3 hours rather than getting beaten up by a half-orc. These spells are all about manipulating people in less than direct ways. It's a lot of tricky stuff, so that of course that plays into it. Deception could go really good for this cleric, things like that, and stealth of course could help out. Moving into the features, level 1 you're getting Blessing of the Trickster. Now this is neat. This is the first time I've seen a level 1 spell be able to help out your party. Essentially what you can do, you can touch your party member and you give them advantage on stealth rolls for the next hour, or until you use this ability again. You cannot use it on yourself, so you cannot give yourself advantage on stealth rolls, but you can set yourself up to succeed on that anyways. I think it's also fun to note, this did not have any quantity of times listed per day, so feel free to use this all day on all your party members, especially the paladin or another cleric that might be a little louder, or anyone like that who's just not good with sneaking. At level 2, you get a channel divinity called Invoke Duplicity. Now this is a lot like Mirror Image on steroids, but instead you create one mirror image and it can be within 30 feet of you. And as a bonus action on your turn, you can cause that image to move independently of you anywhere you want, 30 feet, the same movement as you, as long as it stays within 120 feet of you. The other thing is you can also cast spells as if it's being cast from the mirror image. So it'd be like, oh, who's actually casting the spell? Me or that guy? That's Invoke Duplicity. At level 6, you get another channel divinity that you can use called Cloak of Shadows. What this is on your turn, as an action, you can turn yourself invisible until the end of your next turn. But the invisibility will wear off if you cast a spell or attack something, so keep that in mind. At level 8, you're going to get your Divine Strike, which, for the Trickster domain, what better type of damage than poison? Add 1d8 poison damage to one attack per round. At level 14, you get that bumped up to 2d8 poison damage on one attack per round. At level 17, you're going to get the ability Improved Duplicity. This is actually your channel divinity now. Instead of creating just one duplicate of yourself, you're creating up to 4. And of course, as your bonus action, you can move all 4 of those independently of yourself and themselves. And all the other rules of duplicity apply, and all the other rules of regular duplicity apply to this new and improved duplicity. Thinking about this cleric, I thought a lot about rogues, because rogues are the sneaky ones usually. I feel like that's an unearned stereotype. Maybe it is earned. But I felt like this could probably tie into that rogue life a little bit better. You're not getting heavy armor proficiency, you're not getting martial weapons, so you're going to be sticking with a lighter armor, like leather, which means you could also be a little quieter. Which makes me think perhaps dexterity could be a good second ability score for this particular divine domain. A good base of wisdom, followed by a second of dexterity, would mean you're dealing with a little better sneaking abilities, you're dealing with a higher armor class from your higher dexterity, and if you chose to, rather than putting abilities in strength, you could put it in dexterity and be more of a ranged cleric as well, using your crossbow if you wanted. I think that's how this thing could work. Keeping a distance, keeping, the tricks going, I think that could play in really well with this. If you're going to do something like that, a feat I would suggest would be like Crossbow Expert, which would let you keep firing without having to reload or take the time to reload every time. I think also, though, the Lucky Feat could play really well into this. The Lucky Feat giving you luck points that you can spend throughout the day to re-roll dice if you're doing poorly on your die rolls. Those kind of feats I think could really play into making this a roguish trickster cleric, which I just kind of like that idea of, a religious person who's also a little shady. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this explanation of the Trickster Divine Domain Cleric. I've been Richard. Thanks for watching.